Basketball YouTube channel, 1992 college football. We are in week 5, and today's matchup is a different one. Wake Forest enters the fray. They are 2-0. They had an 8-4 season in 1992, and they so far this year have beaten North Carolina 37-0, an impressive win there, and Grambling 72-0. And now comes Florida State. Florida State, we go back in here real quick. Florida State is 3-0. They went 11-1 in the season in real life. Of course, they lost that game to Notre Dame, which we'll have on the channel for sure coming up in a couple of weeks. So Florida State beat Duke 34-14, and beat Clemson, and beat NC State. So all ACC games, and of course, looming next week is the game at Miami. So could they be looking ahead in this one against a Wake Forest team, one of the better Wake Forest teams in their history? So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're not looking at rankings right now. Section 10 football, I love it to death. The rankings early on in the year are a little bit messed up. Not messed up, but, in terms of not taking, they don't have the preseason polls. So we're going to look probably after week 8 in that range. When we get to maybe week 8, maybe before week 9 in that range, we'll probably look at those games there too. So let's go play some football. Wake Forest, Florida State. We're in FSU, Doak Campbell Stadium. AI control for both. We're doing drive by drive. You can hear the war chant going on here. Corey Sawyer is the best player in the field. He is the punt returner and quarterback for Florida State. Charlie Ward at 144 ranking at quarterback. He's also the second best player in the field. The third best player in the field goes to, for Wake Forest is Mike McCrary. So you can see that FSU is an 18-point favorite. This game should not be close, but you never know. FSU is loaded there with Derek Brooks. Wake Forest has got George Coghill, Todd Dixon, Mike McCrary, Keith West, their quarterback, and Ben Coleman at tackle are their 5 best players. You see the 5 best players for FSU. There's a gap there, not a huge gap. I mean, the 5th best player for Wake Forest is better than the 5th best player in Florida State. The 4th best player is better than the 4th best player for Florida State. And the 3rd best player is better than the 3rd best player for Florida State. So you kind of see in terms of depth, in terms of the 5 best players. So something to look at there. So you never know what can happen. FSU, Wake Forest, if FSU loses this game, it makes next week's game against Miami not as big. Because really, we're playing to find out who the top 2 teams are. We're not doing the bowl games. We're going to go up to the SC championship game, which is back in '92 was the only championship game being played. And at that point, we'll look at the rankings, and the top 2 teams will square off with the number 1 team playing home and number 2 team on the road. We're not doing bowl games, neutral site games. That's what we're going to do. So we'll look at rankings in a few more weeks as we go through this project. Let's kick it off right here. FSU will get the ball. Charlie Ward at quarterback. And they'll punt it away. So Wake Forest comes up big on defense to start things off. Keith West at quarterback for the Demon Deacons. And a field goal. So Wake Forest draws first blood. They lead 3-0. 3-0 in this one. Could Wake Forest pull the upset? And Vanover comes back. Speaking of Wake Forest, I always look at Wake Forest and Vanderbilt as similar schools. And Vanderbilt, in case you did not see this, in week 1, I didn't put this in the channel, but Vanderbilt upset Alabama. Alabama won the national title in the real 1992 season. They beat Miami in the Sugar Bowl. So Alabama's got a loss right now. They haven't lost since. And Vanderbilt's undefeated right now. Their schedule gets much tougher. So something to kind of look at going forward. FSU ball. And a 19-yard pass. Charlie Ward hits Baker. And the FSU Noles go up 7-3 in this one. Ward, 2 for 3, 28 yards. 2 carries for 10 yards. So 7-3. We'll kick it out to Wake Forest. Wake Forest ball, first quarter, and they're going to punt it back to Florida State. In good field position right now for the Noles. And Ward is sacked and fumbles, and Wake Forest jumps on it. FSU was about to go in and score in the 13-yard line, and Wake Forest defense dials one up. The Demon Deacons are here to play. First quarter. And that pass from Keith West is picked off by Clifton Abraham. So FSU will take over. First quarter, they're at the Wake Forest 41-yard line. 7-3 they lead. And Wake Forest hangs on, makes some punt. Wake Forest defense is traveling today. Doing a good job here. And they'll punt back to FSU there as we start second quarter. FSU will be pinned back at their 6-yard line.
Receiving team.
And Ward is picked off again, his second pick. And Wake Forest now will take over the 29-yard line of FSU. The Wake Forest defense is causing problems for Florida State and Charlie Ward. And an 11-yard touchdown run from Moultrie and the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. They lead 10-7. Oh, Lord. 10-7 here in Doak Campbell Stadium, because is FSU looking ahead to Miami is the question. Are they looking ahead to the Hurricanes next week? And they'll punt it away. Wake Forest defense stepping up. 8:21 to go in the half. Wake Forest leads by 3. And they'll punt this back to FSU. Florida State ball again. And it's picked off again. Charlie Ward is picked off for the third time. This time on 2nd and goal from the Wake Forest 1-yard line. He was looking for Tamarick Vanover, and Kevin Cole steps in the end zone, makes the pick, and Wake Forest continues to lead this one 10-7. And there's a touchdown pass from West to Mills. And Wake Forest now leads by 10. 17-7, upset brewing here in Tallahassee. There's a flag in the play in the kickoff. 17-7. FSU has shot themselves in the foot, though, with turnovers, but you have to give Wake Forest defense credit there. Good Lord. FSU ball. Let's see if they kneel it down here. They don't kneel it down, but they don't score. So 17-7. Let's take a look at the halftime numbers real quick. Charlie Ward, 7 for 16, 69 yards, 1 TD, 2 picks. FSU's outgained them. Sacks, 4 sacks. They've sacked Wake Forest 4 times. Wake Forest are on their own 36-yard line, so they're hanging in there. They are hanging in this one. They're up by 10 points. More than hanging in. They're up by 10 points, and they'll get the ball to start the half. So here we go. Wake Forest up by 10. Can they pull the upset? They punt this one away, so FSU will get it back. And Charlie Ward will take it himself. So no turnover there. Touchdown Florida State. 17-14 now. Ward with 10 carries and 51 yards and 1 TD. He's under 100 yards passing now. So the passing game has not been there for them. 17-14 now is the score. 9:21 to go in the third quarter. Can Wake Forest hang on for the upset? And they'll punt. They got on the 37-yard line, and they punt it, and they pin FSU back. So Wake Forest was driving, could not get in the field goal range, but FSU will take over the 2-yard line, down by 3. 8:01 to go third quarter. And they punt it back to Wake Forest, so Wake Forest will take over now with 6 minutes to go third quarter. At midfield, up by 3. And they punt it back to FSU. Not a good punt. They actually went backwards and went 4th and 19, so backwards there on that possession. So not a good situation there for Wake Forest. Didn't take advantage of the field position at all. FSU ball. And there's a field goal attempt. So we are now tied up. 9 plays, 58-yard drive. 4:44 it took. 14 seconds to go in the third quarter. We are tied at 17 on that one. Charlie Ward, 13 for 23, 149, 1 TD, 2 picks. He's got 60 yards rushing. He's doing it all for Florida State in a 17-17 game. He's got 2 big picks, though. This game would be a whole lot different without those picks. Yes, he's got 3 picks, right? Well, a flag down the kickoff return. Let's see what happens. Looks like a legal block on Wake Forest. Going to put them back. A block in the back. So Wake Forest will be backed up here, so not a good start here to things. Let's real quick. Ward's he's got 2 picks. One was going into the end zone. Here we go. 17-7. They'll punt it back to FSU and a 54-yard punt. And FSU will take over their own 25. Tie game, 12-18. Now we're in the fourth quarter. And they go 3 and out right here. So Wake Forest ball, 11:49 to go. Wake Forest defense playing really, really well in this ball game. And 4th and 24. So Wake Forest is really going backwards. The FSU defense starting to overwhelm Wake Forest's line, their own line here. 8:50 to go in the game. And it's picked off again. George Coghill, the best player in the Wake Forest team, he picks off Charlie Ward. And now Wake Forest, he returns at 23 yards. And now Wake Forest has to set up on the Florida State 20-yard line, 1st and 10 in a tie game, 17-17. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So, a 9-yard fumble return. Let's go ahead and look at that play-by-play. It looks like Wake Forest fumbled it. They picked it up and scored on their own here. Let's go ahead and look. Sometimes on this, you can go look at the play-by-play and see what happened. So Keith West scrambles, okay, and fumbles. John Leach picks it up at the 9-yard line and returns it for a touchdown. So that returns it. He kind of takes it in. So a fortunate break there for Wake Forest. But the big news, they lead 24-17 now. And turnovers have been a big part in this game. FSU turned it over going into the end zone, turned it over there. And now with 8:14 to go in the game, we've got some interesting situation right here because FSU get knocked off. Bama got knocked off by Vanderbilt in week 1. Could FSU get knocked off by Wake Forest here in week 5? And Charlie Ward scores a 12-play, 68-yard drive. We are tied at 24. Ward now with 64 yards rushing, 185 yards passing. He's got 2 TDs in the ground, 1 in the air. He's accounted for all 3 FSU touchdowns. So 24-24. Wake Forest ball, 2:40 to go in the game. Could it be the last drive of the game? They punt it away. So 4th and 21 to get to midfield. And FSU takes over 1:19 to go. Let's see what FSU can do on this drive. This could be it. And that is it. They're going to tie this game. Remember, in 1992, there is no overtime. It is win, loss, or tie. And this one ends in a tie, 24-24. It'll be interesting to see what that does to FSU's national title hopes as we move down the rest of the season. They do play Miami next week. And we'll have that game on the channel. I'm pretty sure I'll have that game on the channel. I'm going to look and see other games, make sure. But that looks like the game to have on the channel. As you see it right there, 3-0-1 against Miami, 3-0-1. That's probably the game of the week. Let's look around and make sure there isn't a better game. I always do 1 game a week for the show on the channel. I also play my Gamecocks offline, and they play Alabama. Vanderbilt and Auburn. That could be interesting. Vanderbilt's 3-0. They beat Bama. They beat Bama, they beat Duke, and they beat Old Miss. They went 4-7 in real life, but they're 3-0 right here. That'll be an interesting game they played. I think we're gonna have to go Florida State, Miami. Syracuse plays Louisville. That should be the easy one for Syracuse, as they're still in the markings for a national title. You got to stay undefeated pretty much. Stanford Notre Dame was a good game too. They're both 4-0. Stanford went 10-3 that year. So that's the other big game. We might do 2 games next week. We might do 2 games in our next week. We might. We might. So I might do that. I might do 2 games next week because they're 2 good games. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching, guys.